Gary, thank you for being here, man. It's good to see you. Yeah, it's definitely good to see you. Yeah, for this episode of Community Voices, the whole intention behind the series is to give voices back to business owners, right? So that people who are viewing the series or watching this video can get to know you on a more personal level, right? And kind of understand the way that you flow and the way that you work. So one of the reasons why I reached out to you is because I see the way that you are, working hard for your clients. I see the content that you're putting out, and it's very inspiring. So please tell me, what do you do, and what encouraged you to get into the industry?
So right now I am a loan consultant at Caliber Home Loans. And I'm gonna put this out there right now as my little disclaimer. I never seen myself heading down this path. This wasn't something that I had planned on or I seen in my career. It just was kind of God's plan, and it kind of led me here just through my relationships and just being myself throughout my journey so far. I'm a people's person. That's what I love to do. I went to school for human development and psychology, so I'm really all about understanding people and how to nurture people and their environments, the natural element of themselves, and how to tap into that higher purpose. So that's kind of how it all started for me. I navigated my way through the business world after college. I know that we work for a giant business, or we live in a giant business, and being in America, and I was aware of that, so I knew how important it was to tap into the savviness of business. And then my journey ultimately led me here. I got my first condo about 2 years ago, and my loan consultant, his name's Drake, who's now my business partner. So I ended up getting my loan through a gentleman who's roughly around the same age, and he's seen something in me that sparked the interest, and he ended up calling me about a year later and saying, "Hey Gary, what are you doing right now? Are you looking for work?" And I was like, "Well, not really. I had a solid job." I was like, "What's up? Talk to me." And he presented an opportunity to me, and everything kind of led me to just gamble on myself and see what I can do. So that's kind of how I got here today.
That's amazing. Okay, so you said that you went to school. So opportunities are always presenting themselves, to us in life. How did you know that this was an opportunity that would work best for you?
To be completely honest, I didn't. It was me stepping into the unknown. It was me kind of trusting everything that I've been through and my experience, and just again, God's path to be able to put me in this position to serve people. I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how. Right? I had this heart, like my heart told me, like, gee, you inspire people. People listen to you. People connect with you. You're a people's person. Use that skill to educate and give back to people. And I'm just starting to realize now, like, this is it. This is your opportunity to actually do something that can genuinely change people's lives, but then also change the trajectory of generations to come. African Americans are the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to home ownership in America, 44% or so. And I want to be able to eventually play a role in changing that through education and knowledge. So again, it wasn't something I seen myself doing. It ended up lining up here, and now I'm just I'm betting on myself.
All right, so I think that's all great, and from my experience, from what I've seen, like being in the industry for a while, being the most educated person in the room, or being having the most knowledge in the career path that you're choosing to pursue is very important to establishing and building a very strong business. So I'm rooting for you. The one thing I will ask is, COVID took a toll on a lot of families, right? And discouraged a lot of people from starting their own businesses, and a lot of people were furloughed. You're talking, mortgage industry, lending, 2020 COVID, what mindset have you kept, going through all this to, grow your business?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a great question for a lot of different reasons, but I think for me, because I'm still relatively fresh in the industry. Like I'm just getting started, and I've had a lot of experiences where I'm learning about the impacts of COVID and how that has affected things. So all that's still relatively new information for me. So for me personally, it was about what I was doing before this happened, like leading up to all this stuff to get myself mentally prepared for this. So when COVID hit, I had an interesting turn of transition where I was working for a company that I was doing very well for, and they put me in a position where I was gonna have to kind of take some steps backwards in order to take some steps forward in the future. And I wasn't too fond of that. I knew it was COVID. I knew having a job period was a blessing, but I decided to take a risk, step away from that. And what I did in the meantime was, in the interim, we were stuck at home and whatnot. I worked out every single day, I read every single day, and I reflected. every single day. So I was in this mental space where I was ready to take on whatever challenge came to me next, and this just happened to be it. So, without getting to the details or the nitty-gritty of like the mortgage itself, I think it was a personal thing for me to get mentally prepared, spiritually and physically before I headed into this. And now I'm starting to learn about, COVID and how that's impacted families and things of that nature. So now it's really just like you said, having that knowledge and being able to help people navigate through this.
Wow. I think it's amazing. The business process can be a very delicate one, but you saying you relatively new to the industry, it's like you're already practicing and exemplifying, someone who's been in the industry for a very long time. And it's commendable, man. It's very commendable. So my next question is, how do you feel like you're really going to make an impact in the community doing this work?
Grassroots, putting myself out there, getting face to face with people, giving out that knowledge, like never ending, just constantly being a resource for people, like genuinely. Like I want to see people be successful. I want people to have the knowledge, because a lot of the times you can tell people one thing, but sometimes you gotta show them too. You really gotta show up for people. So I'm still figuring out all the ways that I'm really gonna put myself out there to the community. COVID obviously is throwing a wrench in a lot of that, so social media has kind of been my outlet or my focus on being able to get out the knowledge, but I got some things lined up where I'm really ready to, again, hit the ground running once we're able to really get that human interaction face to face. I feel like that's my strong suit. That's what I love to do. I'm an ambassador for Treehouse. I don't know if you heard of the nonprofit Treehouse, but they work with foster kids who experience, or they work with kids who experience foster care. So that's something I do on the side that's one of those ways where I'm inserting myself in the community in a professional, organized way. But then there's other ways where I want to be able to set stuff up in the future where I'm partnering with people like yourself. We're hosting seminars and just giving out game. Like, I just want people to know I'm a resource. Come talk to me. You got questions about homeownership? I'll take the time. It's not about money. It's about really giving out this knowledge. So.
Right. So we're reaching the final segment here. I just have a couple more questions I'd like to ask. So the first question is, what would you say to people who are interested in buying a home in today's market? And do you have any advice for millennials?
Yes, so the first thing I would say is come talk to me and my team. That's definitely the first thing I would mention. But truthfully, I just want people to be aware that there are options out there, and you have to find out. Like, you have to take the time to explore your options and understand what your buying power is. And if you're not in position, find out exactly what you need to do to get in position. And that's kind of my thought process on that. It's really being able to understand that you don't need 20% down, you don't need 15% down necessarily, especially as a first-time home buyer. There's programs out there, where you can get in as little as 3.5% down, 3% down, and then down payment assistance programs where you can get in for zero down out of pocket. And I just want people to understand that there are resources and a plethora of knowledge to be able to get your foot in the door of homeownership, and then you can figure out the rest from there. I think a lot of people also have the mentality that they need to go into their dream home or a certain level of home before they really explore homeownership. And I think that can kind of set you back in some cases. I personally believe you should try to get your foot into the door, let that equity and let that gain work for you in your favor, and then use that to level up to your dream home. So that's kind of what I would want people to know.
That's great advice. That's great advice. And starting somewhere, I feel like, is also important, right? And I think sometimes we get swept into the idea of a dream home, but there's levels to it, right? You have to start at one place. Once you get in there, then you grow. And so I think that's tremendous advice, and I stand by that 100%. Genius. So my last question here, Gary, is what is something about you that someone else wouldn't know unless they had a one-on-one conversation?
I'm a visionary, and I want everybody to win. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things I could say. I feel like you gotta really get to know me type of thing, but just straightforward, I genuinely want everybody to win. If you have a pure heart, if you really want to be able to change the world or just make a positive impact, we can team up. Like, we can figure out something to be contributors to the world. So I want everybody to win. I really do.
All right. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you
joining
me for this
Seriously.
episode. And thank you to everybody who's watching. Hopefully this can be used as a mode of empowerment and endearment and encouragement. So I appreciate you coming.
I appreciate you, brother.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Love you, man.